Hi, today we're doing rutabaga mash and ham hock, a classic Swedish dish that has been made for closer to half of a millennia. We are the Swedish traditions people. So this is a dish that our kids love, or at least the meat part. Could be a really sneaky way to get some really good nutritions into your kids' food, like rutabaga and carrots, but our kids prefer the classic mashed potatoes. William and I, on the other hand, we really enjoyed the mashed rutabaga mash. So what you need is a couple of big pots, one for the ham hock, which is a pretty big piece of meat, one pot for the rutabaga potatoes and carrots, and then obviously you need the ingredients too. Some bay leaves and peppercorns for when you boil the meat, and a little bit of syrup, just a tablespoon or so, for the mashed rutabaga mix. There's no specific ratio. Whatever you want, whatever you think tastes good. We're doing a couple of potatoes, a couple of carrots, and a rutabaga. The first thing you want to do is just peel everything. So now everything's peeled. We got our carrots, our potato, and our rutabaga. It's important to remember that the potatoes are a little bit softer than the rutabaga and the carrots. So I'm not going to cut those into such fine pieces because they're going to boil a lot faster. So keeping the potatoes, I'm cutting them into two big pieces. And the carrots and the rutabaga into finer pieces, because you want them to get done boiling about the same time. Now, if you've never worked with a rutabaga, you should know that it's an incredibly hard piece of vegetable. You want to use a really sharp knife, but also keep your fingers in the clear. If you're pressing down really hard in this and you slip, you can lose a finger. That's not real good. And I mean, this is the thing. This is an incredibly sharp knife, and I am struggling a little bit. So definitely keep your fingers out of the way. All right, we got our pot here with carrots and rutabaga and mashed potatoes. We're gonna fill it with water and boil it for about half an hour, give or take. It's a bit of a guesstimation. You're just gonna have to check after about 20 minutes and see where you're at. All we need to do with the ham hock is put it in a pot. It's real simple like that. Into the pot. There we go. And kind of press it down so that it's on the bottom. Bay leaves and peppercorn. And then cover it with water. So simple, this, guys. So simple. Whoop. All right, so it's covered with water. Now we let this simmer for about 2 hours till it's done, until you can start to see the meat falling off of the bone. And that's it. We got the ham hock on the stove top, and you want to get this going almost an hour and a half before you start boiling the mash, because that takes about an hour and a half less. Rutabaga is not really a popular veggie today. It has its origins in Sweden or Western Russia, and sometimes in the 16th century. The rutabaga is a cross between a cabbage variety and a turnip, and it goes by more than a couple of names: rutabaga, neeps, Swedish turnips, and even yellow turnips. The more American term of rutabaga even has its origins in the Swedish language, the old word rutabaga, which we don't use anymore. The rutabaga never really became as important to the Swedish diet as compared to the turnip, and especially the potato. Probably one of the only times Swedes today eat rutabaga is when preparing the meal we are today. But it's a hardy plant that lasts long into winter, and it's versatile. The mash can, for example, be baked into bread, and they were used as a feed for livestock. There was even a type of gruel made from rutabaga. Pork was a major staple food for generations and generations. While pork is of course nothing unique to Sweden, it's long been an important food in Sweden's history. Today, especially the southern area of Sweden remains a major producer of pork products. But there's a problem with fresh pork. It spoils quickly. So when we're talking about pork in traditional Swedish fare, we're very often talking about preserved meat. There are varying ways to preserve the pork, and we hope to explore some of these in upcoming videos. But today's ham hock has already been cured in salt brine, and that's how we buy it. It's also why we boil it, because there's a lot of salt in this ham, and we get rid of it by boiling it, or we get rid of some of it by boiling it. The vegetables are boiled for about half an hour, and I tested them before I took them off and strained them, that they were soft and ready to get mashed. They look beautiful, yellow, orange. Smells really good too. We want a little bit of, what do you call it, brine? No? What do you call it?
Yeah, brine.
Brine, yeah. Want a little bit of brine from the ham hock. And I just took the ham hock right off. It's boiled for about 2 hours, so I just took it right off the stove top right now. And this is kind of, yeah, I don't have any measurements for this, folks. It's just kind of flavor. And a little bit of light syrup in there, about a tablespoon or so. Masher. Go ahead and just mash this. Want a little bit of just salt, not too much, because actually the brine is actually salty, and I should have actually tasted it before I put the salt in, but too late now. And this is white pepper. And it tastes good too. That's awesome. We're going to continue with the ham hock right now. And just cover this up. We've poured off the brine, and we kept the broth. You can see it right there. I'm going to use that as a soup because it's got a lot of flavor in it. And it's quite salty too, but a lot of flavors. It's great for soup. And now we're going to just pick off the meat. We want to keep the meat here, and yeah, just get the fat off. Fat and bones off. Skin and fat and bone. I switched to different forks. The other ones didn't work real well, so just using these instead. This is what we're left with after everything's done, and you pull it off like a pulled pork. It's not the easiest though, because there's a lot of sinew and fat and stuff. And that's the leftovers. That's bones and fat and everything else that you don't want to eat. But that is beautiful, really good meat. Okay, I hope you liked our video today about ham hock and rutabaga mash. Please feel free to share the video, subscribe to our channel, check out the recipes below, and hope to see you again.